check out our American League preview this year for 2012. And in baseball, we'll start in the West. We're picking the Los Angeles Angels to jump from second to first in that division. The rest of the division will line up the way it would normally. Texas won't win the division this year. They've had some issues uh, losing players. C.J. Wilson, most notably, and where does he go? He goes to Los Angeles. They have a team that has four pretty good starters. Weaver, Dan Herron joins them, of course Wilson, and then Irvin Santana. So they have a pretty good team as far as pitching goes, and I've left out that they've added Albert Pujols. So this could be the new power shift in baseball to the American League West. Texas is still going to have a lot of steam, a lot of good slugging. I question their pitching, and so we're going to put them a tad below the Angels. But that does not mean, with wild cards and all, that they're not a serious threat to get back to a World Series. Looking at the Central Division, how can you not like Detroit? They won their division after pretty much sitting around 500. They won by 15 games. They won over Cleveland. Cleveland was a surprise team for many. We did pick them to do well up into about second, where they did finish last year, but they had 80 wins. 80 wins and right above the White Sox at 79. So those teams were about your 500 teams. Detroit's in another echelon. They add Prince Fielder. This is going to be a really good team. Detroit might be a great team to take to the playoffs through the World Series this year. So let's look at the rest of this division. We have Detroit. We're going to keep Cleveland there. Cleveland in second, and Kansas City's the team that's nipping on their heels. Kansas City, we're looking at Jonathan Braxton now being added as a starting pitcher. This is one of the things where Kansas City's traditionally lost players. It looks like they're gaining them now. The White Sox, I think they're the why not team. They're going to hang around, but they're not going to be an issue for the playoffs. At the bottom of the division, I'm putting the White Sox all the way to the bottom. It's a complete remake there. Minnesota, Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau, really non-existent last year. They're going to add something. This team's going to get to 70 wins. This maybe 75 wins, but they're not going to be anywhere near the depths where they finished last year. And the American League East. You can cause a lot of debates discussing American League East teams. You have your Yankee fans, but guess what? The Yankees are a very consistent, stable organization this year. I like the small moves they made, so they can't really go down much. They're not going to go up much, but they won the division last year, and the division's tighter this year. So we're going to put the Yankees right back while they have the older players, the older core there. They can't play every day, some of them. So they're going to have some breaks. They'll be well rested for the playoffs, and it's built right into their system. I like them. Then you have the resurgent, always resurgent Tampa Bay Rays. Doesn't seem to matter how they start the season, but we know they'll finish strong, and that's what I'm picking them for second. It's going to be close, though. I like their pitching. I like the Rays pitching, and I think that's what does it. We can count on their pitching, and they've got the best manager, Joe Maddon, in all of baseball. So that's why they get on that streak at the end of the year to make the playoffs. Toronto Blue Jays are going to be right there. Yes, the Toronto Blue Jays have some of the best bats in all baseball. You stick them in the American League West, they're right there with those teams. I think they're right there with these teams. Where they're lacking is a little bit young in the pitching. I think this year, though, that they think they can climb up the ladder, that they can be that Tampa Bay Ray team, and maybe they do get second in the division. They have a shot at the playoffs. Who that leaves out? Boston Red Sox. Look, quite frankly, who is their new manager? Uh, he's got a big name, and people always talk about this guy as if he's the best their mind in baseball not playing or managing. But why is he not managing? Because he doesn't win anywhere he goes, really. Bobby Valentine is back in the big leagues behind the Boston Red Sox trying to straighten things out. They've had a lot of players leave. A lot of players are going to have to get used to a new guy. And last year they started slow, finished slow. They're a great team in the middle, but they can only go one way here, and that's down. They're going to fourth place because the other teams are just better. And you might have to get used to that. Baltimore, you're not any better. You've got a whole new front office, but you've got the same players. Now, give it a year or two, and that could change as well. So there's your American League East division, how we'll stack that out. And we've done a comparison here with last year and this year to give you an idea how the teams change. Where we see the biggest change, American League West, the power now shifts to the Angels. We think the Central's going to be the same, and we have a little shift there in the middle of the American League East. What's that make for divisions and for wild cards? Well, you got to figure who finishes second in the American League East and who finished second in the American League West will be your wild cards. So look for a playoff perhaps between the Rays and Texas. Haven't we seen that before? That's our American League preview for 2012.